Hey guys, this is Mr. V. I'm here to do a book review today for The Dark Tower, Book 7, The Dark Tower by Stephen King. So, right from the beginning, you guys should know that I try to do a spoiler-free book review, and that considering this is the last in the series, I will try to just give my general opinion of the end, so that you guys have no hint of how it ends at all. I don't think I've ever given a hint in any of my reviews, but I'm just going to give a very, very vague general opinion, and that's it. So, one thing before I start the review is, you guys, it's my opinion that you guys should read Black House before you read The Dark Tower 7, as Black House reveals certain things about the Crimson King and the Tower. That's why I recommend Black House, but I also thought Black House was an amazing book. You guys can go check out my channel. I did a review on the Black House. But if you guys don't read Black House, you'll still enjoy the book. But again, I recommend reading that before this one. And back to my book review now for The Dark Tower Book 7. So for The Dark Tower Book 7, I was really, really looking forward to this book. Because, I always find the end of a series so fun. Is that because previously you knew it continued. You always knew it continued, but you didn't know which way it was going to continue, but you knew it continued. When you're on book 3, somehow they're going to continue. And even in one of my previous reviews, I said maybe Roland dies or maybe Susanna dies. Something happens, but they're going to continue. But now that it's at book 7, you have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea if they're going to die, if they're going to reach the tower. What is the tower? It's just complete craziness when you get to the end of a series. So that's why I always love the last book, and I always look forward to the last book in the series. Now, for The Dark Tower, Book 7, you guys should know that this picks up right where Book 6 left off. Where you have Jake and Callahan. They're going to be entering, I think it's the Dixie Pig. You guys can look that one up. I forget exactly, but I think it's the Dixie Pig to save Susanna/Mia. And they're walking in right at the end of book 6. And then now, start of book 7, that's exactly what they're doing. And it's the same thing with Roland and Eddie. It just starts off right where book 6 left off. And, I should say that this book opens with high intensity and a lot of action right from the beginning. Stephen King has done that throughout the whole series, where basically the books, it starts right after. Now this one starts literally seconds after book 6 ends, where sometimes it starts a few hours after. But it opens with high intensity and entertainment, and there's a lot of mystery right from the beginning, and it makes you question a lot right from the beginning. And I think part of it is because it is the last in the series. Some of those questions I said before is because it's the last in the series, you wonder what's going to happen. And there has to be a conclusion at the end of this book. So that's, that's a very fun element. The other part, that's fun, and Stephen King has done this throughout, is that you can see why Roland is a gunslinger. The first book, The Dark Tower 1, was called The Gunslinger. And now you can see why he is a gunslinger. Throughout the whole series, he's built it up, and, you could see how tough Roland is. He knows so much about every single aspect, about shooting, about camping, about hunting, about basically everything. And it's you could see why he's a gunslinger, but it's also because of his toughness. He's mentally tough, but he's also physically tough. And it's you could see it, and you could also tell how cold he is. Throughout the series, you could see little parts where he was kind of opening up a bit more. His heart was opening up a bit more. But then in the end, he's still so cold. And you can see again why he is the gunslinger, why he is so tough. Because there's one scene, and this is just a minor spoiler, where Roland and Eddie run into somebody, and Roland gets information that he needs, and then instead of releasing the person, he just kills him. And Eddie was shocked. And Eddie was like, oh my God, he just killed someone in basically in cold blood almost, because they could have released the person. They got the information, and Eddie is like somewhat questioning it. And Eddie is also scared. Eddie's like, oh my God, will Roland do that to me one day? And it's got to be a scary experience, but you can see that Roland is incredibly cold. But that's how he has gotten this far, and that's why he is so close to the Dark Tower. So, that's why you could see, like, why book one and throughout the whole series, he has built him up as a gunslinger, and Stephen King has just done it. He has described it perfectly. But, so one thing, though, I did not like about this book was I did not like the Stephen King plot. I'm talking about I didn't like it in book 6, and they still continue it oddly here. I'm talking about where Stephen King brings the character Stephen King into the book. I don't know why he needed to bring himself into the book. I felt I just don't like the plot. Maybe there are people out there that thought it was clever or something like that, but I just thought that it was weak. It was weird. Stephen King is creative enough that I think he could have thought of a different plot. The story overall is still a great story, but I don't know why he needed to bring himself into it. Again, I just thought he's creative enough that he doesn't have to do that. He could have thought of some other way to do this. I still haven't found many good arguments online about why he did that. So, I really do not like that because it's kind of odd as well. But, it's tough to say. Now, one thing you guys should be aware of is some people feel this book dragged a bit. Now, I can see where they're coming from to an extent, because I think there were parts of the first half that he could have trimmed, that they could have trimmed part of it. But I actually think that people thought it was, that people thought it dragged just because they wanted to see the final result. I've seen that so many times that it's like people want to see the final result so badly, they don't want to see all the stuff in between. They just want to know, okay, let's see what the final result is. So while there were parts that could have been trimmed, I think people thought it dragged more just because they wanted to see the final result. Now, with that being said, you should know this is the longest of the Dark Tower books. So, he definitely could have trimmed a little bit, but I actually thought it wasn't bad. I actually just felt that it was more slower moving. It wasn't that it dragged. It was just slower moving in the first half. But then the second half, I think he ramps it up. And there will be parts that are slower moving and that people will think, oh, that part dragged. But I don't think so. Because, I think, there are still many areas of action. I said the book opens with high intensity. So there are still many areas of action. And you still feel a lot of emotion, like you want them to succeed, and you still feel a lot of emotion. And it's not like one of those books that I've read books that have dragged, and it's like you start to lose the emotion, and you're like, okay, hurry up already. I get what the person's doing. And then you start to lose emotion for the character. You're just like, okay, I don't care anymore because it's dragged on for 200 pages. But I didn't feel that with this book, to where that's why I don't think it drags. I just think it's slower moving in the beginning. And that's all. Because then, as I said many times, the second half ramps it up a lot. Now, one thing that is cool about this book is that I felt there was a decent amount of pictures. At the end of every chapter, there was just one picture which kind of would like show something at the like kind of just a quick summary of what that chapter was about or a scene from that chapter. But I thought that was really cool. And sometimes a new section would start and then there would be like a picture to kind of show. But also like there was times where they would get a map, but it would be like, or there'd be something on a wall that was said on a wall, but they would show it like in human handwriting, or the map would look like a human wrote it. So I thought that was cool instead of it just looking like computer generated and things like that. Because I do a mixture of listening and reading. So it was really cool to see that some of those aspects of like, oh, it looks like it's really a human wrote this out, or a human really drew this, and I felt that added a extra touch that was a lot of fun. Alright, so now we have come to the very end. And as I said, I will not expose the ending in any way. I'll just give my general opinion. But you guys should know that basically everything is answered. All your questions that you have in your mind, they're all answered. You know, he doesn't leave loose ends, and I credit him for doing that. There have been so many books, and there's been other series where it's like they still leave some loose ends, and it makes you wonder. But I credit him for wrapping up the series very nicely to where the questions you had, you know, they are answered. And that's why if you feel something's dragging, do not skip a section, because sometimes he answers it throughout the book. So it's really cool. And you can say the ending section or the final result or whatever you want to call it. That one completely knocked me off my feet. It was so crazy. That final section was just, it was like a wow. I like thought, wow, that is a way to end it. Like, just, there's no way to explain it until you read the book. And I saw that there are some people online that still did not like the final section, ending, whatever it is. There were people that didn't like it, but there was a lot of people that just thought, wow, that was crazy. Like, how crazy that was. It was, I can't even go in depth without spoiling anything. So, you definitely want to read it. But as I said, most people thought it was an amazing kind of ending section, and that even the people that felt it drag thought, wow, for that. So I'm going to rate this book. But after listening to my rating, please watch after, just so you can see why I rated it this way. So I always rate my books on a scale of 0 to 10. A 0 is awful, a 5 is average, and a 10 is phenomenal. Like, make that your next read. Very few books reach the 0 category, just as very few reach the 10 category, because I'm a very tough critic. You know, it's hard to move up even 1 point in my rating system. So I'm a very tough critic, because don't forget, a 5 is average, because I believe many books are just average to below average. But that's why I say, please, listen to what I say after, because with a 5 being average, I would rate The Dark Tower Book 7 an 8 out of 10, which in my standards is amazing. Now, it could be that I'm rating it highly just because it was like the end of the series to where then I got everything answered. It's more like you got everything answered, and it may be unfair, because there's only one Dark Tower book I rated above this, and that was The Dark Tower 3. But The Dark Towers 2 and Book 5 are just below this rating. But then again, maybe I was too critical on those books. But I could see that it's like The Dark Tower 2, 5, and 7 are all kind of about the same rating in my mind right now, to where any of them could be flipped out for the second best. Because Book 3 I felt was the best, but this one was so amazing because it is hard to move up even 1 point in my rating system, but I would still rank this an 8 out of 10 because I just love the book. So, if you guys have any comments or you have disagreements, please comment below. I hope you click the subscribe button. Thank you for watching my video review. This is Mr. V. Hope you guys go and enjoy your book.